Hello, bosoms. Yes, it is I, the conspicuous Moo. And today we are going to talk about another vanilla server. This time we are going to deal with Turtle WoW. So we're going to go through what type of server it is, what kind of features it has, what kind of vanilla experience you should expect, the economy, the community, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to try and condense it as much as possible. Now, when I do these private server reviews, my plan is to get up to somewhere around 19 or 20, get into Westfall, so you're sort of kind of ready to do Dead Mines, and yes, I am aligned, so I make no apologies for this. That way I can just get a general feel about how the server is, but it is, a first impression, if you like. So, what is Turtle WoW? Turtle WoW is not a place for the purists. That is to say, if you like your vanilla WoW content to be pure, unadulterated, absolutely as it was, then yes, unfortunately Turtle WoW is absolutely not the place for you. It is an RP-PvE server, so it's rather different from Darrowshire, which is the last one I did, because there aren't that many PvE servers out there in the vanilla private world. They usually predominantly are PvP servers. And in Turtle WoW, they've taken the original vanilla client and they have added additional features and content onto it. So it is still vanilla, but it's vanilla with turtle flavor. So it's a very, very different approach. And it caught my attention. I was interested and I thought I'd give it a try. And they do have new content that does come out fairly regularly. We got a preview recently of a place called Gilligam's Isle and the island of Lapidus. So, those are total new areas that people will be able to explore. And they, at least on paper, have a lot of other content coming. So, this is an ongoing passion project, if you like, where they're sort of just extending the life of vanilla WoW through new stuff. And I absolutely, 100% guarantee you will start to notice differences to the traditional vanilla WoW before you've even finished creating your first character. Now, this is mainly because Alliance have an additional race, High Elves, which is essentially blood elves with blue eyes. They have their own set of racials, they have their own capital city, but yes, it's another option you can have if you feel like going Alliance. If you're Horde, of course, you'll get goblins, which are disgusting versions of gnomes. There are a number of additional features as well. I think Night Elves get, a new colour of hair. So I think the Orcs get some more beards. So, there are a couple of extra characterization augmentation bits there. Also, there are a couple of class things as well. I'm pretty sure Orc Mage wasn't a thing in Vanilla. And Gnome Hunter definitely wasn't. So there's a couple more combinations there if you want to try something different. And Dwarf Mage and Undead Hunter are soon to be coming to Turtle WoW as well. So there'll be even more options. Now, when you first start out as your level 1 character, you'll notice you'll get in and there will be a couple of different and additional NPCs that aren't usually there. Now, these have very, very specific functions. Now, one of them will enable you to get into hardcore mode, which we'll go into a second. And then there's also a Glyph merchant who's going to sell you basically different ways of playing vanilla WoW. It's a very interesting concept. You start off with Speedy, the companion pet, is a little turtle, of course. He's going to also be the interface for the Turtle WoW shop, which we will also get to later. And after a few levels, you'll also be just granted a mount, which will basically be your level divided by 2. That's the mount speed it's going to be. So the higher you get, the faster it goes. When you start as well, you will, depending on your choices, either join the Newcomers Guild, which is for the, newcomers, which is basically everyone from level 1 to 15 is automatically enrolled into this guild. You can leave it at any time, and then you get auto-kicked at 15, and then you can rejoin it. I would recommend that you stick around in the Newcomers Guild, because it's lots of new people, they're all very excited, there's a very positive atmosphere, and there are a lot of people who actually, continue to level inside the Newcomers Guild, because it's just a nice place to be. I can't speak to the Hardcore Guild, which is still alive, but you will join them automatically if you choose Hardcore mode. So, what is Hardcore mode? This has been out for a little over 6 months in Turtle WoW, and basically there's going to be a creepy chap who's sort of standing around and looking very shifty indeed, and if you speak to him, he will give you the option to enable mortality. Hardcore mode is essentially you get one life and that's it. And your journey, it doesn't matter. If you die at level 59, you're going to have to start all over again. Now, the highest death I think I saw server announced was, say, 52, but that has got to sting. You don't get any reses, you don't get any second chances, you can't be soulstoned or anything like that. Once you're dead, that's it. There are, of course, a couple of restrictions that are attached to hardcore mode as well, so you can't cheese it too much. Most of the trading can only be done with other hardcore players, and they have to be within 5 levels of you. You're not allowed to use the auction house, and you're not allowed to group with people who are, between 5 levels, basically, if you want to run around together. Now, as you level in hardcore mode and continue to not die, you will be server announced every 10 levels or so, and you will get rewards as you progress. If you do make it all the way to 60, and I think 80 people at the moment have made it all the way to 60 without dying, you get a title, the Immortal, you get a tabard, and you get a unique mount as well, which is, I think it's a dragon, but you don't fly. There's still no flying. This is Vanilla WoW. Come on. Unfortunately, after you get to level 10, your death will also be announced in by the system. So yeah, there's been a lot of unfortunate announcements of people, in their mid-40s and that 52 who have died tragically, and we all have a short moment of remembrance for our fallen hero who has now become fertilizer. The other fella in the starting area is a glyph merchant. Now, this dude has a couple of different options about how you might want to play, and he sells a few glyphs for, 5 copper. I think one is just a quest. So the Glyph of Exhaustion you can get, so you don't get any arrested XP ever. So, if you want a slower journey to the top, then that is one option. Glyph of the Turtle will give you only 50% of normal XP for killing creatures, and you'll lose 5% of your XP on death. So once again, it's a slower version of doing things. Glyph of Twinking is for, well, twinking, if you're into that sort of thing. For PvP, then you can take the Glyph of Twinking, turn your XP off altogether, and just stay there forever. And the final one, Glyph of the Diplomat, is the one that I've taken. It enables cross-faction trade, and it also enables you to dungeon group with the other faction as well. I will go into more details about how that all works, the Looking for Turtles system, later on. Now, when it comes to features, it will probably take me until about mid-2026 to cover everything that has been added to this client. It is substantial, to say the least. So it does have some of its own systems. It has its own forums, its own website. It has its own Wowhead version. It does have its own armory as well, with 3D model viewer. And yes, it does have its own shop. Now, the shop system seems to be on the basis of you buy tokens, then you redeem the tokens for various different things that you might want. Now, none of these are pay to win. They are quality of life inconveniences, or they are just customizations to your character. So there's a lot of stuff here. There's illusions, there are companions, mounts, you can get some bigger bags, there's a repair bot, a couple of mobile banks, a Kodo and a mule, there's a mobile auctioneer, and there's also dual spec, which is available to be bought as well. Now, there are some whisperings that it might actually become a quest inside the game, but yes, at the moment the opportunity is there for you to actually buy dual spec from the shop, and then have dual spec in vanilla, which is kind of neat. In terms of just general changes in Total WoW that you wouldn't get in a normal vanilla client, you have the high up city of Alathalas. So they have their own home capital, which is very pretty. There's about 300 or more new quests and thousands of new items that have been added to the loot tables, and there are a lot of new titles as well, with more to come soon. So, for example, you can get the title Guardian of Tirisfal for acquiring Atiesh. In terms of more fun stuff as well, there is apparently a player-controlled Mirage Raceway. I would have loved to have given this a go, because it sounds like Phantom Menace on the Shimmering Flats. It sounds great. Yeah, I think it's very likely I would like to come back and at least see how that all goes and works together. There is the opportunity for guild housing. I think you have to contact the GMs directly and request a lodging somewhere out in Azeroth, and then that can be changed in the game files to actually become your guild home. I didn't look into this too much, but from the forum snippets I looked at, that looked like a pretty neat idea as well. There is a new secondary profession called Survival, so this is basically, at the moment it looks like it's really good for tents and gardening. Now, tents is a completely new thing. that has been added to Turtle WoW. Basically, you put a tent up and you significantly boost your rested XP. So a lot of people like to hang out around the Gurubashi arena and check how many tents are going so they can sit inside, get a whole bunch of rested XP, and then go out and continue to level. There is a barbershop of sorts. There's a very nice lady. She's just opposite the fountain in Stormwind for the Alliance anyway, and basically you just have the option to choose a few different hair dyes. And as you can see here, we've got a few gnomish options because I went with a gnome prop warrior for this testing. Of course I did. And yeah, there's also the opportunity for transmog as well. You have to do a number of quests and you get certain fashion tokens, and then you can start doing the whole transmog system as well. So this is an example of additional systems that they've added to Vanilla WoW, just a basic quality of life and some just fun stuff. So this is an RP-PvE server, so you'd naturally assume, well, there's not a lot of PvP going on, but you would be a little bit on the incorrect side. So one of the favourite things, bounty board, right? You have a bounty board in Stormwind and Orgrimmar, and if you have the most honourable kills in your faction for the week, you will have a bounty laid upon your head, and other players will come and hunt you for it. That's so much fun. That's such a great idea. Dishonourable kills have had a few ranks added to it now, so they don't really have any major impact, but you can now drop to the level, I think it goes to Outlaw to Pariah. So you can become a Pariah, you can become absolutely despised. That's just a bit of flavour, some fun for just being the worst person available out there. They have added a 2v2 arena as well, so once again, that's a little bit different. You have all of the familiar vanilla battlegrounds in here as well, and there's another one on the way as well, Sunnyside Vale or something. They're creating another battleground anyway, it's in their coming soon list. And there's another forum post by the GM Torta, who's basically opened the floor out to PvP players saying, what would you like to see? So they are very, very open to suggestion too, as to if you have any ideas about what we'd like to see in this different version of vanilla. When you come to the economy, it was pretty strong. Lots of things that I wanted to sell for lots of money, I wasn't able to because it was pretty much worthless. It was less than vendor price. So that's great for the economy, but it's pretty bad for me. When I did do an actual add-on scan of the auction house, it actually had more pages of goods than Darrowshire, which did surprise me because Darrowshire's population is substantially higher than Turtle WoW's. While the population doesn't seem as high, they do seem to be very invested in the server, so there's certainly a lot of traffic going through, and I did make some decent money. In terms of the community, I got a generally good impression. The World channel is basically just trade chat for Azeroth. So, your chances of getting actual real useful assistance is about 50-50, and that was pretty much my experience when I was asking questions in World. There are GMs that are present in the chat, and you know they're there because they chime in every once in a while. So it's probably in your best interest, particularly in an RP server, to not be a complete bellend. The other impression I got from just the chatter was that the enforcement is definitely there if you misbehave, but it is fair. There's no manic behaviour from any of the GMs. I believe they're still recruiting some additional ones as well. Now, as this is an RP server, there are RP naming conventions. They are not overly enforced, but it is encouraged that you don't call your characters James Bond, or the Robot or something like that, but basically they're not too enforcing on the names, but if you disrupt RP sessions on an RP server, don't expect to be on the server for very long. Connected community is the Discord, and the Discord does appear to be quite active. There's lots of active posters going on, and there are tons of channels to potter around in. So you have, your normal guild advertisements and stuff. You've got class channels. You've got different languages. You've got people from Russia and Turkey and France. This is an EU server, so there's a lot of languages flying around. There's an RP section, a PvP section, a hard mode section, so there's plenty of stuff to mine there as well, as long as the usual announcements, rules, general chat, and memes. When it comes to add-ons, the vast majority of vanilla add-ons are supposed to work on the Turtle WoW client. Now, I tried a lot of them out, and not all of them were successful. Now, in most cases, they can be gotten from GitHub. There is a huge forum post with all of these different add-ons and the links to them, so you can start collecting them. When you do download them, they do tend to be, they do tend to have like dash master on the end. If you just remove the dash master when you're unzipping it, it should load fine into the game. The most useful one I found was called PFUI, which is it's very similar in structure to ElvUI if you ever use that in retail or classic. So it adds casting bars to enemies and all sorts of other different things. It's highly customizable. It takes a little while to set everything up, but once you've got it just so, I prefer it to the standard interface. Several other add-ons have been actually customized for the Turtle WoW server because the client is different and it has different loot tables and bosses and all the rest of it. There are 4 or 5 additional world bosses just wandering around, so they have to be taken into account. So add-ons like Atlas Loot and Atlas have been tinkered with a bit, as well as a version of Bigwigs, which I wasn't expecting, but there you go. Now, just to quickly address the LFT, or looking for a turtle system, there is a turtle finder. It's an add-on that is automatically comes with the client, and it's essentially just a matching service. So you're not going to get ported anywhere. You're still going to have to travel to the instance, but you are going to need to have the Glyph of the Diplomat in your possession in order to use it. The reason is that this is cross-faction, so you can run with people on that other side that you don't usually associate with. So yes, it's essentially, choose your dungeon and start your group. If you want to join another group, there's another tab at the bottom that enables you to go through them. As you can see, tank's not really in demand at the moment. Now, once you've signed up with your Glyph of the Diplomat, you also get notifications, server notifications when groups are being formed for certain instances, and there is a Looking for Turtles channel as well, so if you just want to go through the traditional means, then that's another avenue for you. Now, it's not perfect. There are definitely issues. I think the biggest one is going to be population, because population-wise, Turtle WoW isn't particularly large. The peak numbers I think I last saw were between 600 and 750 on the server at peak time. So it's not a massive community, but like I said before, it is extraordinarily active. This is a very loyal player base. I did notice the aggro ranges tend to be a little bigger than I experienced on Darrowshire. Now, I don't know if that's just a thing that they've tweaked or something, or just because the taste of gnome is better than the taste of night elf. But I did seem to be attracting a lot more negative attention from greater ranges than I was as a druid on Darrowshire. Some of the quests are not scripting properly. I think this is a commonality with a lot of private server clients. Merc Deep, the Black Talon Corrupted, and the Den Mother, all of them in Darkshire, because I always level in Darkshire, I love that place. None of them seem to be scripting the way I was expecting them to. And other things like stutter issues, the jump swimming, we're actually jumping underwater, and all of that stuff instead of just swimming up. Maybe this is just a client thing that's in common with all private servers. It's not exactly it's definitely not how I remembered it in Classic. But perhaps this was just a thing in Vanilla. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't in Vanilla. I'm experiencing it now. I ran into similar screen tear and stuttering issues as well. Now that could possibly be because video cards are so far in advance of what's actually required to play this game that you may need to artificially throttle the frame rate or something. That's some of the ideas that have been thrown around to fix it. But it doesn't ruin the game experience. So, that is an awful lot of information about Turtle WoW because there is an awful lot to talk about, but I didn't want to make the video too long. And that's all well and good, but how does it play? Well, it plays exactly the way you'd expect Vanilla to play. So, apart from those minor scripting issues, the early leveling experience was pretty much identical to what I had in Darrowshire, as you would expect. I even got the Gafferjacks quest done this time. I found a good spot. Try the ends of the docks in Orberdine. That's where I had the most luck. The changes that Turtle WoW have made to the original client, are noticeable because, they're not normally there, but they're not brazen. They have actually made an effort to fold all this in and make these changes so they fit in with just the general regular furniture. So, while things are different, they're not jarring or anything. It's also, very, very clear with the amount of work and the amount of communication and the community itself that this is very much a passion project. An enormous amount of effort has gone into augmenting and extending this version of Vanilla WoW. The scale of the new content just attests to that, and it is an actual pity that, you know, small indie companies like, say, Blizzard Entertainment just aren't able to compete with these levels of competency and effort. The issues I had with Turtle WoW were very minor gameplay ones, and you know, they didn't really affect my enjoyment of their version of Azeroth. The shop isn't pay to win. It's got a lot of cute things in there. It's got, you know, you can become a Mag'har Orc if you so wish, or a Sand Fury Troll. You can ride on a cloud, which is a bit odd but okay. You can even find the that luminescent Mechanostrider. There was only ever one in the game. It was accidentally given to a player by a GM, and they got to keep it, and then they tried to sell their account and they got banned. So there's only ever one instance of that mount ever in the whole history of World of Warcraft. You know, at the end of the day, they have server costs, and you know, you're not compelled to buy anything off the shop, you know, in order to play Turtle WoW, so I'm absolutely fine with it. But, you know, ultimately, the big question is, would I recommend Turtle WoW to new players who are looking for a vanilla experience? And, you know, to be brutally honest, yes, absolutely, I would recommend it. I mean, it's, I think this is a server that is very well made, it's very well supported, and it is deserving of a lot more attention and praise than I think it's currently getting. The infrastructure is perfectly fine, it's perfectly stable, the community is predominantly helpful and friendly. The GMs do appear not to be fell-orcs swinging two-handed banhammers around left and right. And, you know, the additions they've made to the original client seem to be like quite innovative. They improve the quality of life and the player experience, and, you know, some of them are just, you know, downright fun additions that have been added because they'd be pretty cool, like the Mirage Raceway. Now, obviously, I didn't have time to try absolutely everything I was interested in. For example, I didn't have 5 gold laying around so I could change my gnome's hair colour, because I blew all my money on bags. Big bags. But, you know, there's an awful lot of content that I will be very interested in exploring, because, you know, there's quite a few options here. And, you know, having that many different game modes where you can slow things down, or you can go hardcore, or you can have no rested XP, and, you know, all the different PvP options that they've added as well. These are great takes on how to play vanilla, extend it out and make it larger. It's important to note that, you know, even with all this augmentation and new innovation, you know, it's still vanilla. It still plays like vanilla. The classes are still vanilla. They have added a few new abilities to the game. I believe Paladins get a Holy Strike around level 10 or so. And the Mages and Warlocks have gotten a bit of quality of life. The Mages can conjure tables, and the Warlocks can conjure a soul well, so you can all get a Health Stone. They're the kind of changes I don't think that are going to really make all that much difference. You're not going to nuke the meta by having those kinds of changes in the game. But, you know, it's odd, the journey that I've been on, because, you know, before Classic WoW, I'd be, oh, no changes, what's this rubbish, keep it as it was. And now I'm coming into Total WoW and I'm going, you know, this was really cool. The barbershop is a great idea. Funny old world. Anyway, so for my part, I think I found my vanilla server here. I mean, I've been looking for a PvE server to get comfortable in. And, you know, I'm going to be maintaining a character here for sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be Chopsy, the Prot Warrior, or something else, but, you know, I think this is a place that's well worth playing on. I'm not going to be on all that much because I've got all the Endwalker stuff as we're leading in Final Fantasy, but, you know, it's good to know that, you know, I have a home to come to in vanilla where I can get away from all the whiz-bangs and stuff that you get from Eorzea and just sort of chill out and level while absorbing world chat. Talking of world chat, if you do decide to join the Turtle WoW family, then just bear in mind that Tense has all the answers you will ever need. In Tense, we trust. So, you know, that's it for this review. You know, if I had a third set of thumbs, I'd put those up as well. I really did enjoy just experiencing Turtle WoW, and I'm going to stay here because it's really, really good. So I think I was doing a bang-up job. Top marks. Now, I will be back relatively soon, as always, but until next time, I am the Conspicuous Moo, and to Gurabashi Arena with you.